Hey everybody, real estate broker Jeff Marples here. Today we're going to talk about a creative solution for people to buy and sell real estate that's going to really affect, buyers and sellers. These are strategies that I have not used for a number of years, but I just recently closed a transaction doing this, and I wanted to share with you sort of that out of the box thinking that really got us, from a dead deal to a closed transaction. But before we get there, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and bless my algorithm, because it really helps me promote my channel, and click that bell. So every time we come up with new content, that you are very well informed. Now, recently, I have completed a transaction that I thought was completely dead in the water. And I'm going to give you sort of an idea of where we are in the marketplace and give you options to say, okay, well, what if I do just something a little out of the box? Now, I've been a broker for 20 years. I've done these things years ago, back in 2008, 9, 10, 11. And then when the market started taking off in 2012, I didn't really have to employ these strategies simply because, everybody was able to get a mortgage, and you already found the base of those values, and you can get your mortgage, and so it was really easy. I haven't been able to really use these strategies for some time, but I think these strategies are really going to help you in moving in and out. And this is, once again, this is going to help buyers and sellers. So here's my story. So just about a month ago, I closed this transaction, I guess. Pacific Heights, 10-unit building, condos, top floor, historic building in Pacific Heights. All of the units, front and back, are identical, right? So the comp is clear. There's 2 units that transacted about 18 months ago, maybe 2 years ago, for $1,600,000, $1,610,000. We ended up getting this property for $1,450,000, $150,000 less than the comps. That is indicative of the marketplace, and that is also indicative of being represented well from a buyer side. I represented the buyer, and sure enough, when we presented our offer, it was a take it or leave it offer. Super nice to the listing agent. I go, this is all we really could afford. I wish we can go higher. If you reject our offer, we'll just move on, and I appreciate your time, but this is our offer. So we came in at $1,450,000. We removed a couple contingencies, not all the contingencies. We still had a loan contingency, which is the main one, right? We got into contract. My clients, the buyers, had a mortgage broker, and she's shopping it around. Now, I've worked with mortgage brokers, direct lenders, everybody. Sometimes I'm always, riding the mortgage brokers a little bit harder, and it was justified in this case, right? What ended up happening is we got to the closing table, and the lender only was providing 75% loan to value, not 80% loan to value. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are you kidding me? And part of the reason is because it's an older building. The HOA did a reserve assessment study within the last 2 years. And the reserve assessment study basically says everybody has to put in $60,000. We're going to break it down into 3 tranches. 2022, 23, 24, everybody puts in 20 grand, and we have enough money to do some facade work, a little repair here and wherever. Nothing structural, it was just mostly cosmetic, but that's something I told the lender first day. I'm like, we've got these things, you gotta know about it. The lender needs to know about it. Sure enough, we get to the closing table, and she's like, well, 75% loan to value, and that's what we've got. I'm like, we're supposed to close escrow in 3 days, and you drop this bomb on me, right? So here I am calling all my out-of-the-box lenders, going, what can you do? What can you do? I got this on the HOA. This is what we have. What can we do? And one of my calls was to the listing agent, and I'm like, we've got a problem. I'm trying to find a solution. I'm trying to find a backup lender. The seller wanted to sell. They're out. They moved on. They're out of there. They don't want to rent it. They want to move out. One of the things that I had said to him, I was like, what if we do a seller carryback for that additional 5%? And he goes, well, he was a newer agent, so I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, well, this is how we did it. This is how I used to do it. And it should be fairly straightforward. When you do a seller carryback, sellers become the bank. They take on the second mortgage. So we have the 75% main mortgage, close escrow. Right behind it, we do a secondary mortgage. It has to be blind to the first lender, so the first lender doesn't know about it. They kind of do, but from a paperwork point of view, it shows that there's a gift letter from the seller. So it's a little bit tricky. You have to do it right. We ended up getting a lawyer involved simply because title companies no longer want to touch it from a liability point of view. So we scrambled, I was working with the other agent. Other agent was great. We sort of troubleshooted and said, okay, well, let's find the lawyer. We found the lawyer that could draft up the secondary note, and then it comes down to terms. Now, remember, it's a negotiation, right? I mean, it's terms, payback, interest rates, and all of that. How do you structure it? Well, the sellers, they did not want to have a balloon payment on the 12th month. What they wanted to do is pay, I think it was $5,000 every month on that second, which is actually pretty darn high. $5,000 every month paying down that mortgage with a couple tranches that are a little bit higher every quarter. And if the buyer doesn't make those payments, then there's going to be a penalty to it. The sellers agreed to that. That's what their terms were. The buyers were like, okay, we can do that. My lender, or the lender, has had a long-term relationship with these buyers. Long-term, they've known each other for 10 years plus. She's the one that we all together sort of like, this is what they're asking, this is how we're going to do it. The buyers were okay with it. We actually asked for a little bit more than 5%, so we can get it through a couple hurdles of movement for other properties that the buyer had, so they could sort of refinance, take equity out, pay things off, blah, blah, blah. But it worked out. The benefit on this is a couple things. To the buyer, okay, well, that's out of the box thinking. We closed that transaction. So they got what they want, and they got their property at a great deal. What I try to tell buyers, especially in today's market, buy into equity. Every single real estate investor out there is going to tell you the same thing. Buy into equity when you can, especially in a volatile market. So we bought it at $150,000 less than the comp. And it's still the top floor unit with great views, beautiful unit. The buyers got what they wanted. They got the unit at a great price. They won. Well, the seller, made concessions to sell it at a lower price early on. They said, okay, well, we'll take the hit. You know why? Because I knew that they had equity in the property and they wanted out. They didn't want to be there. They staged the property. They've already moved out. They're motivated to sell it, clearly because they accepted our offer. This also helped them because now they have a 1-year reserve cash flow coming in. It didn't really cost them anything at all, really. I mean, at the closing table, they had less money to take with them in their bank account. I also knew that they were not turning around and buying another property. That was my main question. Do they need the money right now so they can employ that cash into another property? And the answer was no. So really what ended up happening is, well, they got less money, but then we ended up recording a second deed, a second note on their property. So they became the bank. They have cash flow now every month. They can also foreclose on the property. Now, when you are on a second position on a note, it's going to be a little bit trickier if you're going to foreclose compared to having a primary note, but you can still foreclose. You can still make that happen. So there's a lot of security in the sense that these people are going to pay because they could foreclose and they can get their house back. There's also the cash flow positive of it. And they also achieved their goal. They're out. They moved. They got their money and they're out. And today what we're doing is setting up that first installment payment for them. That's just a great example of how you can get in and out of real estate, sort of thinking out of the box. Now, Really what it requires is a seller to be open to something like that. A lot of sellers don't, but when we're in this marketplace, we don't know where it's going. I'll call it a volatile marketplace. That is just a tool that you can employ to say, yeah, sure, if I'm willing to do that, yeah, buy my property. I want the cash flow, especially if you're all cash. Now you've got cash flow coming in. So that's a win. Another tactic that I used that I haven't done for some time was a house out in Walnut Creek. I have a friend of mine, he purchased a property. He wanted to move out and move up to a larger house. The house that he bought, when we bought it, he got a beautiful lot in a really good location for fairly cheap. And the house needed a little bit of work, but not much. But it was a massive lot, great lot. I mean, open trail right behind. He ended up moving out, renting the house out. That tenant who moved into the house loved the house. He goes, I love this house. My stock options are going to vest in a year, 6 months, whatever it is. I want to buy this house, but I can't buy it today. I have to wait for my stock options to vest so I could pull my equity out of those options or from the stock, and I could buy the house. So what did we do? We did a lease option. A lease option is where you find a tenant and you have a normal lease, standard normal lease. However, we create an option contract. I think it's 3-page document. That option contract, remember, once again, it's negotiable. What we ended up doing is we said, okay, we're going to say it's 80% of the rent goes to pulling down your overall down payment. So for instance, we have a strike price at $800,000 for the purchase price. He's going to be in there for a year. Every payment that he makes on his monthly rent, 80% of it pushes down the price of that property on the down payment. Sure enough, we had the lender involved the entire time. And so the lender knew it was coming. And when we were getting close to say, okay, well, what are we going to do here? We exercised that option to say, yes, we're moving forward. Yes, we're going to buy this house. And the lender sees that you've already made a down payment. So he's going to come in with less money. And because the overall price has already been pushed down, right? So the terms on that are really, really good. The thing for sellers to think about on this is, A, once again, you get cash flow. 2, that tenant's going to treat your house like it's theirs. So they're going to treat it well. You're going to get somebody in there that really loves the property. They're going to take care of the property and they're not going to trash it. The third thing is, statistically, it's a long time ago, but I think only 85% or only 15% of lease options actually exercise that option. A lot of people that get a lease option, they fail to move forward on it. Part of this whole thing is there's deposit money. Get that option, the buyer's going to put money down, non-refundable money down that goes directly to the seller. Non-recourse, it goes straight to their pocket. So say you could say 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever you guys come up with, buyers and sellers both agree to. If they fail to exercise that option, it's a non-recourse, meaning the buyer does not get that back. Think about that. That for sellers is great. I mean, seriously, you get somebody in there to rent your property, they're going to take care of your property, most likely already have a higher strike price because you're thinking about where my value is going to be next year as opposed to right now. Granted, today we're in a volatile market, so there's some speculation of where that value is, but also the down payment money, the option money is going to go straight into your pocket. That is a win. From a buyer's point of view, hey, you're basically trying it out and seeing if you like that house. And if things go the way you want, hey, you just bought yourself a house. So those are really the two best ways that I could think of and that I've employed in my normal business. And really not too many people, not a lot of agents actually, I'm a real estate broker, I've been doing it so long. A lot of people just don't know that. They don't know how to do that. Or it's been so long that they don't even know. It's out of the box solutions that you really have to think about in this volatile changing marketplace, right? So once again, seller carryback, the seller becomes the bank. 2 is the lease option to transact. I hope these two strategies can help you into thinking about getting in and out. And remember, these strategies are really employed mostly by real estate savvy real estate investors, right? Not your traditional real estate transaction. So I'm hoping that, you could think about these things as you move forward, buyers and sellers, whatever it is. These are options that you might have as we go further into this marketplace, right? I know that they work. It's just a matter of sort of massaging the everybody involved to make sure that they're all on the same page, everybody agrees, and then everybody achieves their goals, right? And that's what we all want, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that has helped you. Once again, as I always say, follow me on my YouTube channel by subscribing, but also hit me up on LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Instagram, my website, jeffmarples.com. If you have any questions, I pick up my phone and talk to people all the time. Clearly I'm open to having a conversation with you as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it's been helpful. Take care.